you might find that certain things that you set out to achieve and accomplish take longer than you anticipated. You might find yourself being outpaced by your competitors, by your classmates, by members of your age group. You may think that you are losing the race. You may feel like you are falling behind. But these are all symptoms of one thing that a lot of us fail to recognize, and that's that the right way always takes longer. Now, Austin, could you enlighten us on what the right way is and what we mean when we say it takes longer?
So when we're talking about the right way, people might have their own subjective opinions, but I'm going to try to find a pretty objective definition for it. So when we're talking about the right way when it comes to building yourself up, building your brand up, building your business up, I would say the right way is having something or having a business, having an entity, or having substance about yourself that's based off of a solid foundation. So if you see a lot of businesses nowadays, air quote businesses, because a lot of people think that they're doing something that they're not. When you see a lot of people nowadays, you see a lot of here one day, gone the next. Why is that? You might see someone who had a good amount of fandom, fame, star power for a sec. Then maybe a year or two later, they're gone. Now, we see this pretty often in certain industries like music. Certain music artists and whatnot will be popular one year and might not be popular the next. Certain athletes might be really good one year and might be shit the next. Business people, entrepreneurs, things of that nature, they could be good one year, make some money one year, and then be broke the next. Why is that? I would like to think that that is because, again, they didn't have a good foundation when it came to what got them there. Because I don't want to say that, actually, fuck it. I do think that luck is a thing. You have to put yourself in a position to get lucky in certain instances. But then sometimes, there are some people who didn't have to do as much work that get, tons of success. But more often than not, you see those people fizzle out very quickly. So when they have that quick success and they're able to monetize something rapidly, they're not thinking about the foundation of what can continue to get that monetization or bring that money and cash flow in. So we talked about this before, but if you build a house on sand as opposed to a boulder, you're going to have that quick success. It's going to come in with the tide, and it's also going to wash away with the tide very, very quickly. So the right way is often something that is built upon a foundation, a steady foundation, a foundation of hard work, a foundation of ethics, a foundation of analytics, not just things that you do here and there, not just clout, not just, the trend that people are following to make money nowadays. So to me, that is what I would define as the right way, building something that's based upon a steady, concrete foundation. Just like these, what's the word? I don't want to say coasters.
Oh, yeah, they're coasters.
Yeah.
Ill-found coasters.
Yeah, just like these.
Yes. Shout out to Ill-found.
Yes.
Our wonderful friends at Ill-found. We have ashtrays coming soon.
Yes.
Stay tuned. We have a lot of things coming soon.
Yeah, stay very tuned.
Very, very tuned. And while you're at it, tune in to our Patreon at the AM Club Podcast so that you can get exclusive content. We have small Q&As there, and you can even chat with us and ask us direct questions, which I know a lot of y'all like to ask us questions, but you are very conscientious and you don't want to take up our comments and our time, so we appreciate that. But, go ahead and hop on to Patreon and let's get to chatting. It's very comparable in terms of price. So I think one question that you might have is, when you're thinking about this topic, is what is the right way? Austin and Jose, y'all are talking so much about the right way, the right way, the right way. What's the right way? Well, I think you broke it down perfectly. It's something that's based on a foundation. And it's something that I'd like to say if it's more difficult, it's likely the right way. Because there's easy ways to get money. There's easy ways to gain fame. There's easy ways to do everything, but they're almost essentially all cop-outs rather than doing the real thing, which is the right way, which is the hard thing. There's a quote from Chris Williamson, and I think I referenced this before. I don't have it in front of me, so you'll have to excuse me if I completely botch this, but it's some shit. It's the first portion that I don't want to mess up. I'm not going to mess it up. It's something about like the success. Yeah. The success you want is in the work that you are avoiding.
Right.
And so oftentimes we already know what the right way is. We know that it's going to be long nights, long days, no weekends, early mornings, not going out, not partying, not spending as much time with our families, not hanging out with our friends, but just work. Whether it's dialing in your physique, whether it's starting a business, whether it's completing your degree, whether it's getting better in your job or becoming a domain expert, all of these things follow the same pattern. And at some point in time, you just have to bite the bullet and do the damn work. And so the right way is going to take longer because it's building you and fortifying you throughout the process. It's a character building process. You become the type of person that you become after you've endured all of that suffering. And you're building that person while you're enduring the most difficult times. And one of the most important aspects that you're going to encounter in this is that you don't want to do it. You don't. You're not motivated. You don't want to even be bothered. And you can barely see what the next move is on the chessboard. But even then, you have to be disciplined and follow that path because it's the right way. And it will take longer, but you get stronger.
Exactly. And speaking about the right way, I don't know if y'all just were able to see that in this shot that we have of the lacrosse team over there. They're literally running laps. I don't know if they did something wrong or they're just doing conditioning, but they were just running laps around the fucking field over there. And when you think about it, that is really what we're talking about here. That's the right way to do things. Conditioning. If you play some type of sport, you know that conditioning was a big part of, especially preseason before the season actually started, right? It was hard. It was gruesome. The shit fucking sucked. I'm not gonna lie, especially with our coach, who made it very, very difficult.
And shout out to the fat asses who would make us run more because they weren't fast enough.
Exactly.
You didn't hear it from me.
Right. So
we won't name names.
Right. But I think we're thinking of the same name right now.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it was very tough. But when the season came along and we got in the game and we had to run up and down the court, grab rebounds, hustle, the whole nine, we were still okay. Our opponents may not have been as conditioned as us. Why? Because they didn't put in that hard work. They didn't set that foundation for being the best athlete that they could be. And when you're... Oh, shit.
Hold on. I got this.
Doug, it was flying. It was flying, bro. Oh, shit. Oh, where'd it go? Okay, we're back. We had to take care of something.
What do we call those guys? Texas. What do they call them? There's a name. They have a nickname for cockroaches.
Death with 6 legs, or however many legs. I think that's what they call it. Anyway, and if you know me, I can deal with a lot of things, but roaches is one thing I am not going to deal with. So yeah. Now back to the regularly scheduled program, like you're saying. Now, again, having that foundation of hard work, conditioning, doing the things that you don't want to do is what makes you the best you that you can be and the best player that you can be and gives you the best opportunity for success that you can have. And just like those kids over there running around the track, it builds you up. It strengthens you to do the main thing. And what most people are doing nowadays, and what we see nowadays, is we see people that get a lot of attention, but they skip the conditioning. They get a lot of fandom, but they skip the weight room. They get a lot of likes, but they skip the actual building of a community that really loves them for who they are, not just because of some bullshit that's fleeting. So what we're trying to preach to you is, and what we've experienced as well, is hard work. And I know you've heard this before. Hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. And talent only gets you so far. Your coach might have told you this. Your parents might have told you this. Shit, we're telling you this. Talent only gets you so far. It might last you a couple months, could last you a year, could last you 3 years, 4 years. But without hard work, without that foundation, that rock hard foundation of hard work is going to run out. So if I were you, if you're talented, wonderful. If you're not, wonderful too. That just means that you have the opportunity to strengthen that foundation of hard work before maybe someone else can, because they're not even thinking about it, because they're running on that talent. And you'll see, we've seen it before, where it's high school or middle school, where there might be someone with talent, might be someone who has a lot of friends, or might be popular, and you can see it fizzle out the older you get. Why? Because they didn't have a foundation for who they were as a person and what really made people like them. But the people that worked hard, the people that actually really built relationships off of something that was of substance, those are the ones that continue to have success. Those are the ones who continue to have friends. Those are the ones who continue to have healthy relationships, because again, they built that friendship business mindset off of a steady, consistent foundation.
And when it comes to doing anything in life, I'm really big on finding your why and understanding the motivation behind. Understanding the motivation. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the motivation behind it. Yeah, for sure.
And understanding the motivation behind the actions that you're taking, because when shit hits the fan and everything gets difficult, if you don't understand your why, if you don't have a compelling reason as to why endure all the pain and suffering and struggle that you're going through, then it's going to be almost impossible to continue moving on and move past all the barriers. And I've come to realize that a lot of people only do things for attention. And I don't think this is just nowadays. I think this has been something that's historical, because people have always sought to satisfy their egos. And when you're doing things for only attention, I posit the hypothesis that that's the reason that you're not patient, because you're just going from dopamine hit to dopamine hit. And I'm going to give you an example. How many bimbos do you see on Instagram that buy followers? You could buy what? Like 500 followers for less than $10. So you could literally buy 10K for what, 500 for 10, and then we do 10 for 1,000. That's 20, and 20 times 10 for $200, you can have 10,000 followers. How easy is it for somebody to look at your profile and be like, man, they're cool, they're popping, look at that 10K, oh my goodness, they're an influencer. And then you start getting brand deals and this and that and blah, blah, blah. But the funny thing is, then you go on their profile and you see how many people actually like their shit. And it's less than your profile that has 10 to 20 times less followers or subscribers in them. And so I say all this to say, it's so sad that even on social media, people are impatient because people are only going for the attention. Imagine what it's like in real life when you scrape away all of the glitz and the glamour and you're looking at a person's character, just raw and unabashedly them, and you see nothing. Nothing. That's why so many people are depressed nowadays, because they don't even understand why they're doing something. And then they can't even do anything when what they predicated their life, which is attention, falls away from them. And they realize, hey, I can't succeed in the light because I can't succeed in the dark. I couldn't do things the right way. I couldn't sit down and do the work. I couldn't sit there in shame and understand that I am nobody and I will not amount to anything unless I make something of myself. And that nobody is going to do the work for me. They couldn't sit down and realize that. And that's exactly why their character is so shit as it is. And you and I have seen plenty of these men and women alike in our place of residence that will treat everybody like dog shit. They won't even talk to the people who provide them services, whether it's a cafe barista or somebody opening the elevator or a dry cleaner or whatever.
And then they also let their dog shit, literally.
In the fucking hallway. I saw this bitch, all right? There's a bitch who lives right next to us, right? And she was with her dog, dressed up, so clearly she was going to work. And her dog was just taking a shit, right from our fucking balcony. And I'm like, this bitch is not even gonna make an attempt to clean up this dog shit. She just looks around, sends a fucking text message, and then walks away. Looks at it. It's like, oh yeah, my dog took a shit, and then walks away. I'm like, wow. And you're the same type of bitch that would complain about somebody's dog shit getting on your shoe. Fucking people, bro.
The hypocrisy.
She doesn't know how to do things the right way. It would take too long for her to pick up shit, and that's why she's a piece of shit.
Ooh.
You know? And she probably eats shit.
Bars.
Fat shit.
Now, you mentioned like when certain people have those fake followers, right? And we just talked about something similar, even though this person didn't have fake followers. Having fake followers or having something that's not built on a real foundation leads to nothing. And people think that they can transfer that clout that they have into actual monetization, but it's a lot harder than you think. Just because insert famous person here has a fucking product, and you've seen this multiple times before, just because a famous person has a product, they have a tequila, they have a fucking wine, they have something else, that doesn't mean that transforms into automatic fucking buys for your product just because you're that guy or that girl, right? And when you have that, people don't often realize that that's an issue until it's too late. They don't realize that their foundation was built off of something that's not conducive to their actual monetary or business success until it's too late. And again, we're here to tell you that if you want to have any success in anything, you're going to have to build that foundation first, whether it's actually really getting to know your people or really getting to know your product and how to sell it and how to market it without even having to have you in it. Because if you're using yourself as a sales point for your product and you're just a famous person or with clout, that's only going to get you so far. That's not a good foundation for your product because people aren't going to see, even if it's a good product, they're not going to be like, oh yeah, this is a good product, I'm going to buy it. There's going to be some people that are going to be like, yeah, I might buy it because it's this person, but let you do something wrong or let them not like you for some reason, or they switch to another person that they like instead of you. That product means nothing to them anymore because your whole fucking marketing scheme was centered around you, the person, as opposed to the product. So again, you, the person, in that case, that's a bad foundation for a product. The product and having actual quality fucking ingredients or quality substances in that product, quality fucking marketing campaigns, that's a good foundation for a product, not solely you, the person. And unless you know how to actually transform that into actual currency, which most people don't fucking do. And lastly, I'd like to say, when you're doing this, when you're seeing these people having some type of success that you're not having, you have to remember to run your race. Our race is different than your race, you know, in which actually it might be in, in multiple ways, you know, but our race is not your race, you know. So when you see that someone is sprinting in mile 1 of a 10K, that doesn't mean that you should automatically start fucking sprinting because you know it's a longer fucking race. If you want to do the shit the right way, you want to finish. And not only finish, but have enough in the tank to go for another 10K the next week or some bullshit like that. run your race and stick to what you know and stick to keeping your eye on the prize. If you're looking at someone else and saying, man, they're living so good, or they're having like the best life, I want to live that life and all that type of stuff, and you don't have that type of conviction or, you know, patience or just strong willingness to where you're not going to sway how you do things, you're going to eventually subside and do what they do, that quick money. And we know somebody who was doing something which is pretty steady job, and because someone else or people that he knew, they were getting quick, fast money, and it sounded cool, it looked cool, he's changing what he's doing and trying to go to that cool, quick thing. But little does he know, we already fucking went down that pathway, and we realized that that was a fucking pyramid scheme. Now, people don't see that because they just see the quick fucking money. They just see the quick fucking gains that you can get from that shit. And we had to learn it. We didn't even learn it the hard way because we knew from the get-go what it was. But people out there are going to have to learn things the hard way because they're not willing to stick it out and say, I'm going to take the longer path, the right path, and do things the right way, which may take longer, but I'm going to do things the right way. They'd rather go the short path and try to get that fast money and then burn out really quick as opposed to doing it the right way. So for all of you, make sure that you're doing things the right way. It may take longer, but trust me, when you build that foundation, you can last a lot longer in anything that you want to do in life.
Hey, when it's real, it lasts.
Exactly.
The AM Club Podcast.
Signing out. Mic check.
The AM Club Podcast.